TheDarkRichician!
Hey YouTube, TheDarkRichician84 here, and now I'm profiling my fiance's Fortune Fairy deck. Of all the decks she has, I felt this was probably the most complicated, but I think she just about got the hang of it. Yeah, it was hard to figure out a good build for this, but yeah, this is what I came up with. But obviously, if anyone's got any ideas on how to make this better, then well, let us know. And yeah, it's another deck that was built because, well, she likes cute cards, basically. And they were included among cards that she got off Gamer Central, like, last year. Anyway, let's kick off this profile. So, for the three ofs regarding the Fortune Fairies themselves, we have 3 copies of Chi. Now, all of them share a common effect where they say when you draw this card, you can reveal it and special summon it from your hand. So, yeah, they can miss timing if you're not careful. And they all have effects that only activate when they're special summoned from the hand, and they're all hard once per turns as well. Chi is the best one, if not one of the best ones, where if she's special summoned from the hand, both players can draw a card. Then for the next 3 of, we have Sui, whose effect is banishing a face-up monster on the field until the standby phase of your next turn. Then we have 3 copies of N, where she basically destroys a face-down card. Then we have 3 copies of Hikari, the only secret rare Fortune Fairy for some reason. Yeah, Hikari allows you to target a monster you control for cost, send it to the graveyard, and special summon a level 1 spellcaster from your deck. So it could be another copy of itself, or Dimension Conjurer. So yeah, it can be a bit tricky to do if you're low on monsters, or if you've got the only have one monster, but well, you're still thinning the deck regardless, and that's always better than nothing. Then we have 2 copies of Anne, which banishes a spellcaster from the deck. Still questioning how beneficial that is, but well, again, at least it's a deck thinner, and I've been trying to think if there's a spellcaster in the game that benefits from being banished. Nothing's springing to mind right now. Then finally 2 copies of Who, which lets you target a banished spellcaster and add it to the hand. So this can be a good way to get anything back that you've banished off Anne, and then use with Magical Dimension, or the other Fortune Fairy spells. Then 2 copies of Chocolate Magician Girl, which I figured would be good for the deck. Well, I didn't actually come up with this. I actually had to look at someone else's deck profile to get a better idea of what I could come up with, and yeah, Chocolate complements the deck quite well. And then finally, Dimension Conjurer, which lets you add Magical Dimension from your deck or graveyard to the hand. The other effect is a bit tricky to pull off, like especially if you've only got one monster. But yeah, it can be done. Oh yeah. If you're wondering what the other effect is, by the way, it says if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can draw cards equal to the number of spellcasters you control, then place cards from your hand on top of your deck in any order equal to the number of cards you drew. So yeah, it would be more beneficial if you did swarm the field with fortune fairies. And also it can be quite handy if you've not got a great hand, and this will let you draw into more fortune fairies. Anyway, that's it for the monsters. On with the spells. So we have a single copy of Lucky Loan, again with the sirens. Target a fortune fairy you control and special summon a spellcaster from your hand or deck whose original level is one lower than that monster's. Also during the next turn after this card resolves, your next turn after this card resolves, you cannot normal special summon monsters except spellcasters. But that's fine, because that's mainly what you have anyway. Then 2 copies of Unacceptable Result, which says if you control a spellcaster, special summon a fortune fairy from your hand. So one idea I'm already thinking of is bumping this up to 3, and maybe swap out a Lucky Loan for it. Then the card that actually gives them some attack points, Miracle Stone. You can only control 1 copy of it, which is rather annoying. All spellcasters you control gain 500 attack and defense for each fortune fairy monster you control with different names. Yeah, for some reason I thought it was just fortune fairies that got powered up. Don't know if that was an issue in one of the games we had, but oh well. And once per turn, when an attack is declared involving a fortune fairy, you can draw a card. Yeah, that's something I think we completely forgot about, but I don't think it came up. It's hard to remember for sure, but still, I feel like this is definitely a 3 of. Then Magicalized Fusion. Again, this is for Quintet Magician, because you're playing several spellcaster monsters with different names. Then 1 Magical Dimension. I guess more copies could be played, but I'm not sure, because we don't really want to play more bricks than we potentially already do. But I don't know. Then 3 copies of Magical Mallet. This is another way to basically get the fortune fairies rolling, like if you brick, and obviously if you get any fortune fairies in the opening hand of 5 cards, that's never good. Although it's not as bad as getting Mahard in the opening hand, but with Magical Mallets you can shuffle anything back you don't want in your hand and then draw the same number of cards. Same with Reload actually, 2 copies of that, only that has to shuffle back the entire hand. Yeah, that was also something that was in the profile that I watched. I was thinking about card destruction as well, but I'm not too sure. Then 2 copies of Solidarity, since it's basically a spellcaster deck, and the fortune fairies don't have very high attack, have no attack points anyway. This is great for giving them a buff. Then again, they don't gain very much by themselves, so I'm thinking maybe we should drop that for something else, especially since it can clog with the non-spellcasters that I've played in the extra deck. Then Regeki and Twin Twisters. That's it for spells. On with the traps, and it's the usual trap lineup that I play in my decks. Mirror Force, Storming Mirror Force, and 2 Solemn Strikes. And now for the extra deck. Now, it's pretty much made as a link spam deck, based on how the Fortune Fairies work, but I've got, well, she does have other monsters in here, such as Quintet Magician, the only fusion monster. That's great to bust out mid to late game. And there's only 2 Exceeses, which are Downward Magician and Slacker Magician. Downward can obviously be made with 2 chocolates or 2 sweeties, or 1 of each. Or you can just turn Slacker Magician into Downward Magician. Slacker can be quite handy if you are able to bring out 2 level 1s. And as for the links, we have Access Code Talker, because it is possible to link climb into this bad boy. So these are a bit out of order. Then 2 copies of Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians. Yeah, she complements the deck really well. It's possible to either link climb into her or just get her out with a swarm of Fortune Fairies, potentially. And then go into Access Code Talker. Of course, obviously you won't be able to go into any non-spellcaster extra deck monsters if you've activated Lucky Loan. So yeah, do be careful of that. Mind you, I don't know if we'll keep Lucky Loan in, but we'll see. Yeah, we also have Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Phoenix as well. Then 2 copies of Daybreaker. It also works really well with the Fortune Fairies. Gains a spell counter by itself, and obviously it will gain another one if you special summon any of your Fortune Fairies to a zone it points to. Then a single copy of IP Masquerader. It's kind of hard to go into and get another monster out to be able to use her, but again, it can be done. I mean, it's not that easy, but it can be done, so you can make do the usual thing of making Nightmare Unicorn on the opponent's turn. Then 2 copies of Link Karibo, because of the amount of level 1s there are, and finally 2 copies of Relinquished Anima, because of the amount of level 1s in there. It'll be also funny when it gains more attack points off Solidarity and Miracle Stone. Yes, so that is her Fortune Fairy deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and a comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And obviously, do feel free to give us tips and advice on how to make this deck better. Yeah, we'd really appreciate it. And yeah, someday soon we will have some filmed games with her Karibo deck. I mean, I know I've used her deck on camera, but once she's had more practice games off camera using her Karibo deck, then we'll start recording games with that and do a deck profile on there. And obviously, Pearly, Trap Tricks, and her past format Chaos Dragon decks are still in the works. Could be a while before they're done. Of course, I'm in no hurry to finish her Trap Tricks. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.